Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk. This is the show where we talk all things Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And in today's video we're going to be reviewing The Flash Season 4 Episode 13, otherwise entitled True Colors. So, with all that said, let's jump straight into the review. So, Warden Wolfe walks into the room when we see Iris and Cecile waiting for Barry to come out, but then we find out that of course Barry had been moved, and Warden Wolfe is basically trying to lie to Cecile and Iris, telling them, oh, it's all fine, it's all good, he got into a prison fight, but it's all fine, he's just been suspended because that's protocol. But obviously Cecile can now read people's minds, so she's reading his mind, and he could see, or she could see that he is saying, oh yeah, I'm going to sell him to Amunet Black, and this leads to obviously them, but they can't use that evidence against anything. So in the last episode of The Flash, we saw at the very end that Warden Wolfe, who is of course the big warden at Iron Heights, has actually had his own metahuman wing underneath the prison installed, which he has been putting the metahumans in and then selling them to Amunet Black. And this is interesting because he also discovered, but via a secret camera, that Barry is the Flash. So of course Barry is a metahuman, which makes him a pretty high selling target for his seller, Amunet Black, and she makes an appearance. So while all that was going down, we also found out via the synopsis that Ralph was going to be meeting up with an old friend of his who's going to remind him of his old ways, and that character, it goes by the name of Earl Cox, and he's a extremely overweight, extremely shady cop or detective. He is just one of them, and I thought he would have had more of a role in the episode given the synopsis, but he's only in it for one scene, but it does lead to Ralph being able to shapeshift. So, due to Ralph's newfound ability to shapeshift, Iris gets the idea in her head that she can use Ralph to actually shapeshift into Warden Wolfe and therefore step into the deal before it is done. And this was a pretty clever idea and one I did not see coming. I didn't see this idea anywhere, but I'm really glad that they went down this direction because it's something that is able to utilise Ralph in a cool way that isn't just using his stretch powers. You know, he can actually use it in a more unique way that actually benefits the story and benefits what they need to do. And even though it didn't go well for them, it was still a good idea. Now, I also want to applaud the writers for this because there is a scene where Barry actually is smart in this episode, and this is amazing because we haven't actually seen Barry use his detective smarts since the episode 1 of season 1, and it's the scene where he makes that little concoction in that little bottle and uses it to break the lock. Really great stuff. We need to see more of that. We need to show the fact that Barry, he's a CSI, he's a smart guy, he knows what he's doing, and that is what the scene showed. We need a lot more of that, please. We then cut back to the Thinker's little den and we see that Marlize is being very much doubtful of Clifford and what is going on with him. Obviously we have known that she's a bit more skeptical of him now that he's taken up the body of Dominic, aka Brainstorm, but we can really see now that he can read her mind, he can see that she's doubtful of him. And I thought it was really cool the way she was actually doing that song from their first dance to kind of block him out. That was a really cool thing, but you can see that she just doesn't trust him anymore, and this is going to lead to something down the line for sure. So after Barry breaks out the locks, he manages to break out all of the other 5 bus metas who he had locked up in that prison, and that was really cool. This is great. This is the Flash prison break. So he's got Ramsey Deacon, he's got Amanda Chayton, he's got Becky Sharp, and he's got that other one, the shrinking one. I don't remember his name at all, and I don't care. I don't think he's that great of a character, to be honest, but he gets all of them out and they're going to go on this prison break, and this was really cool. This led to plenty of cool conflicting scenes where Barry's just, he even punches a couple of them, which was quite funny. It was a really great moment to have. However, this does lead to a great scene between Barry and Becky Sharp, where after Barry punches the shrinky guy, Becky actually repairs his hand and bandages it up for him. And they share a really nice scene where Becky is just saying to him, I didn't want to do this, I had bad luck all my life, and then I had all these powers and it was just happening to me. And Barry actually makes a connection with her and he sympathizes with her, and then she realizes that Barry is actually an innocent man. And it was a really nice scene, really well written, I really liked it a lot. There was also a really great scene between Ralph and Killer Frost in this episode, where after Ralph basically refuses to help Cisco and Caitlin, Caitlin actually goes to Ralph's office and goes to find him, and she tries to talk to him, but it doesn't work, so she turns on Killer Frost and goes full on with him, and it was a really great moment because it wasn't exactly a heart-to-heart like it probably would have been with any other character, but obviously because it was Killer Frost, she has a bit more of a cold edge to it, and it really worked, and I really enjoyed that scene so much. Now, after Barry and all the bus metas get out, he's face to face with Warden Wolfe and his soldiers who have them at gunpoint, and this really shocked me because Amunet Black then shows up and there's a bit of back and forth there, and you don't really know what's going to happen here. I mean, obviously, you know that obviously Barry is in trouble here because he does get hit electrocuted by Ramsay Deacon with that leg thing, but then he actually ends up being killed all around them, as all the bus metas are killed except for Becky Sharp. This is important, all of them are killed. But before all the bus metas are killed, we see Clifford DeVoe come down as Dominic. He's down there in his chair, and he uses the arms to attach to the heads of all the bus metas, and he seems to be taking their powers, which is obviously what he did. He adopted the body of Dominic and then got his brain powers, and he's attaching the arms, and they're all like absorbing the powers, it seems to be. And this is really interesting that he's using all the bus metas in particular, but then eventually, after he takes all their powers, they all drop. He kills all of them except for one, and that is Becky Sharp, and this leads to a revelation I did not see coming whatsoever, which is DeVoe is now taking up the body of Becky Sharp, which is insane. So Clifford DeVoe is now a woman, and he is now in the body of Becky Sharp, which means he'll have her powers, and it seems to be unconfirmed whether he has all the other bus meta powers so far, or if he just has his own, and then Brainstorm's, and now Becky Sharp's. It seems to be either he absorbed them all, or he takes the one of the body he's in. This is super interesting, and something I just did not see happening. I just thought, no way with this. It was just inconceivable to me. And to be fair, I have to give the writers that. I really feel like this was a step in the direction that I didn't see a mile off. I just thought it was a really great twist, and I'm interested to see where this goes, especially because Becky seems to be a really interesting character now. So to see where they're going to take that side of it alongside with the Thinker, I think is a great move and something that keeps me on the edge of my seat a little bit. So we then cut to a courtroom scene where we see Cecile is trying to plead for Barry's innocence once again, and this is where we see Clifford DeVoe himself roll into the courtroom in his wheelchair, and everyone is thinking, well, he's dead, how is he alive? And it turns out it's actually Ralph as Clifford DeVoe, and this is actually, you know, this only made sense. It was only going to be a matter of time now. Ever since he was able to shapeshift, this was going to happen, and of course the judge sees, well, if he's alive, then Barry didn't kill him, so Barry gets released from prison instantly. So this clears Barry's name, and Barry gets released from prison, and this leads to another great scene where we see Barry at home with all Team Flash, and they're all there. And I thought that was a really great scene, you know, just seeing them all together again, because Barry has been in prison since, what, episode 9? So it's been really great to see them all together again. And I thought this was a really smart way. Ever since Ralph was able to shapeshift, I was like, well, he's going to become DeVoe, isn't he? It's obvious. That's just what's going to happen at this point, and it does. But I can't exactly blame the writers, because, of course, what would you do in that situation if it was going to get Barry out? We then get a final little cliffhanger scene where we see Becky Sharp and Marley's DeVoe inside of the Thinker cave, and we see that Marley's is of course even more skeptical of DeVoe now because he's completely changed gender, and basically DeVoe gives her a champagne glass with the Weeper tears inside of it, which basically makes whoever consumes them fall in love with the person they see. So she drinks that, and then she falls in love again with DeVoe or with Becky Sharp. Very strange. So tell me in the comment section below what you guys thought about episode 413, otherwise entitled True Colors. I think this episode really just is ramping up for the rest of the season now. This episode had a lot to play with and had a lot to put on the table, and I really enjoyed it. I think this episode is one of the best of the season. There was just not a moment wasted. Like, every single scene in this meant something or is setting up something. It never felt like this episode was, you know, filling up any time. This episode was just full throttle, and I loved every single moment on it. One of the best of the season. So thank you guys for watching this episode of DC TV Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, it will help me out a lot, and share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV and get them to join the community. And as always guys, please subscribe for all of your latest videos on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and Black Lightning. And with all that said guys, I hope to see you guys again in my next video.